What's good, YouTube? I'm Robert with the Crosscut Creations channel. January's gone, February's already here, so because it's 2018 and I'm already a month in, it's time for a shop tour. Up first, we're over here at the miter saw. This was the inspiration for my channel name and small business, Crosscut Creations. When I first started woodworking and got into the different saws and everything else, I did have a circular saw that my father-in-law got me, but my next saw was this 10-inch sliding miter saw by Ryobi. It does what I need it to do, and honestly, it's been a great little saw for me. I did replace the blade with an 80 tooth Diablo blade, and replacing that blade makes a world of difference. I absolutely love how this saw works for me in my shop. Sliding down the wall, just to the side of our miter saw, I have my 2 horsepower dust collector. This is the Harbor Freight edition, and if you look here, I don't know how well we can see this on the camera, but I put an extra trash can here. I created a small little is it a thine baffle, little homemade deal, and I created and converted this Harbor Freight 1-stage dust collector to a 2-stage. I can just take the lid off here, and when this thing gets full, I can take the can out, dump it out, and we're ready to go again. So it saves me from having to change this other bag very often. I'm pretty happy with the way this has performed so far, and yeah, I have a 10-foot section of 4-inch hose here, and then I adapted it and I got a 25-foot section of hose and attached it to here, so it actually runs through my entire shop. Moving on from the miter saw and the dust collector, this is my table here. To the right of me and to the left of me, it might be reversed on your camera, but to my right, to my left, right behind me is my table with all of my benchtop tools on it. Here I have the Ryobi 5-inch disc. No, this is a 6-inch disc, and the belt sander 4x36. Yeah, 6-inch disc, 4x36 belt sander. I absolutely love this little tool. I use this quite a bit. Over here I have the 10-inch Rikon bandsaw that I use a lot for cutting blanks down to size when I'm cutting pen blanks. What else? This is the 10-inch version. It's 10305. It's super dusty right now because I didn't take the time to clean this shop, because if we're being honest, this shop's a working shop, and it's just, no matter how hard I try to clean it, it's just always dusty and dirty, no matter how much dust collection I try to use or do, or whatever. It just, I have a hard time keeping it clean, so it is what it is. But I have a bunch of cutoffs down here if you can't tell. I'm going to move over this way a little bit. Moving on from the bandsaw, I have my oscillating spindle sander. Now, I use my oscillating spindle sander mainly when I'm making wine displays and I want to get into some of the smaller areas, and this works really, really well. This is a Wood River brand. I got it from Woodcraft when they were running a special. The next thing over here, covered in scrap plywood and other things, is my router table. I have a Craftsman router table here, and mounted in the Craftsman router table, underneath all this other stuff, is a Craftsman router. I use that for when I'm rounding over wine displays, or chamfering cutting boards, or when I'm putting a profile on a sign, things like that. Also, if you notice, I do have some extra outlets out here from last year's shop tour. If you want to check out last year's shop tour, I'll put a card up here somewhere. But that was a main upgrade. We put a bunch of electrical outlets in. These are just 2 outlets. There's a couple over here where the miter saw is. There's one dedicated specifically for the dust collection. There's a few others on this wall that we're going to talk about in a little bit, so we'll get to that in a minute. Now, if I move on from my spindle sander and my router table, I got a new toy in the shop. New as of Christmas time-ish, give or take. Santa was extremely generous, and I was able to get the Piranha XL CNC. This has been an absolute game changer. I'm learning so much through CNC. I used to not be on the CNC bandwagon. I used to think, oh, CNCs don't have a place in my shop. You know, oh yeah, if you can just program those things and let it go, you don't have to do anything. I am here to tell you I was dead wrong. Those people who do CNC work are amazing. They are incredible. I am just scratching the surface, no pun intended, with what I can do with my CNC. And I'm learning a ton. I am having so much fun with it, and I can't wait to see what I'm gonna get into next. Here's a close-up of the tools that I just got done describing to you. This corner is what I would call my corner of shame. I have a bunch of pallet wood stored down here that's broken down. It just needs to be it needs to be finished, taken care of. It needs the nails taken out. It needs planed. It needs all kinds of TLC to get prepared to be usable. But the main reason I call this my corner of shame is because if you see here, I have all these clamps that don't really have a home. I have, you know, it just looks like a disaster. There are the clamps. I have my Porter cable small pancake compressor right here. I want to build a cart for this compressor. I also want to build I want to build a clamp rack at some point for these clamps, just to get them off the floor and to make this a little more usable space. So that's where the clamps are getting stored right now. So there's this little area. So let's move to the workbench. All right, guys, we're over at the workbench. This is an absolute disaster, and I need to clean this up something fierce. But here's what we have. We have a power strip over here, so we have some outlets here. We have a few clamps up here. We have a couple mallets. This mallet I turned in a video. I'll put a card up here for this mallet. I also turned this mallet. This mallet's exponentially thicker, but I turned this one because I wanted to meet some awesome YouTubers, and when I meet these YouTubers, I wanted to have them sign this mallet. So far I have Bob Lee from Bob Lee's Wood Shop. I also have RJB Wood Turner. Go check their channels out. I'll leave links in the description for them. So there's these. I've got some other random odds and ends that I need to take care of here. I've got some pen kits on the bench that I haven't turned yet. I have a cigar style pen kit, I have a Navigator pen kit, and I have a Metro Rollerball pen kit on the bench right now. These 3 pens, I've never actually turned any of these 3, so these will be first for me. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also excited for it. This is where I do a lot of my pen prep, where I glue the tubes into the blanks, where I get the pens ready for turning. So I do a lot of that here. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the bench. I have some more clamps. Let me get out of the way here. I have some more clamps over here, and I have a whole mess over here. So there's more mess that I need to clean up. Here's the Crosscut Creation sign that I cut out on the CNC a number of weeks back. If you want to check out that video, I'll put a card in the I'll put a card up here, so check that out. Moving on from the Workbench, I have my table saw right here. As you can see right now, it's more of another work surface storage that needs to be cleaned up. I need to clean all this up. After I shoot this shop tour, it is my goal to get this shop in some kind of order, so I'm not tripping over everything. I'm not tripping over everything now, but just making sure that I have enough room to work. Here is the table saw. I have the R4512. It's the Rigid brand. It's their hybrid saw. I really love this thing. It's done exactly what I needed to do, and I couldn't be more happy with it. I need to do some maintenance on the saw, mainly the table, just to get it back into tip-top shape, but we'll eventually get there. This here is my pen press. I do a lot of pen assembly on this table because right now I don't have my maker cart made. Bob over at RJB Wood Turner that I mentioned earlier, he came up with the idea to make a maker cart so you have different levels. I know Mike Fulton helped him with the plans in SketchUp, so I'll link all their channels in the description. Check them out. So here's that. Behind me here is my drill press. This is where I do a lot of my drilling for my pens. It's an old AMT 5-speed heavy-duty drill press. That's what the sticker says on the drill press. It doesn't quite have the travel that I want, meaning when I pull this down, it doesn't quite go as far as I would like, because there are a lot of pen styles that the pen styles and seam rippers that I've turned. A lot of times I have to adjust the blank up or down to get the hole drilled out all the way through the blank. So at some point I do want to upgrade this drill press, but for a $50 garage sale find, I can't complain at all. Moving on from the table saw and drill press, here is what I would call disaster corner number 2. This is my wood storage. If we're gonna be completely honest about this, I absolutely hate the way I store this lumber. If it were up to me, I would put in some horizontal lumber racks and get these off the ground and store them horizontally instead of vertically. But right now, because of my shop size, my shop is a little bit under 400 square feet. If I remember correctly, I'm a little less than 15 by 30, might be 12 by 28, 15 by 25. I forget, somewhere in there, whatever it comes out to be, that's just under 400 square feet. It's a pretty narrow shop, so I'm kind of limited on space. So I'm hoping to figure out a solution for this at some point. I really don't like the way this is stored, but we'll get this figured out at some point. Moving on from the wood storage, not too far away, I have my planer here on a mobile base. You can see I have, it's extremely easy to move. What I had initially done was when I bought my, what I initially did was when I bought my drill press, the base that this planer is on was on the drill press, but after we rearranged the shop, the drill press got a new base, and we put the drill press base and made that the planer base. Put some casters on it, and now this is mobile, so I can pull it out into the shop when I need it. I can put it away when I don't need it. So that's extremely handy, and it's been really useful. This planer that I have is the DeWalt 734 lunchbox style planer. This was in my price range when I was looking at it. I was looking at the 735, but for the money, I couldn't stomach spending $600 or $700 on a planer, so I went with this 734 lunchbox style planer, and for what I do, it's worked just wonderfully, and again, I really don't have any complaints. By now, if you guys have made it this far into the shop tour, you have figured out that I'm a turner. I turn mallets, I turn pens, I turn other small things. I'm looking to get into a few other things in the near future. So in order to be a turner, you kind of need a lathe. So here is my lathe station, just outside the camera shot of the wood storage and just behind the planer. This is the big Harbor Freight lathe. I think they advertised it as 12 by 33 and a half, 33 and 3/8, whatever the big one is. On July 4th of 2017, there was a 25% off coupon, so I was able to get this $320 lathe for somewhere in the ballpark of $270, if I remember right. It is big, it's beefy, it's heavy. It's about 175 pounds. I do like this lathe. There was a speed indicator where you can change the RPMs. You can turn faster if you're turning smaller items like pens. You can turn slower if you are turning larger items like baseball bats or mallets or whatever else. I did get a smaller Nova tool post for the single barrel pens that I turn, and that's turned out really well. The other thing I did was I went ahead and put 2 sheets of plywood in here, so that would act as a shelf for some lathe tools. My lathe tools were made with the help of Bob Lee's Wood Shop. They are curly maple with a Paduke accent strip. He helped me machine the steel, and I have the diamond cutter, the square carbide, and the round cutter that are all carbide. So those have worked out really well for me. Right now they're kind of dirty because they get a lot of use. So I need to clean these up. Really, I just need to give this whole shop a good thorough cleaning and pickup, and just sometimes you just need to give the shop a good thorough cleaning. Here's where I keep my lathe storage items here. I have a whole number of different items. I have supplies, I have tools, I have blanks. If it pertains to the lathe, it's here. So I have my CA glue, I have denatured alcohol, I have acetone, I have paste wax, I have my punches for disassembly. I have some plastic polish. I have, Hut Ultra Gloss polish, I guess it's called. I've got some paper towels. I've got sandpaper. Like I said, there's blanks, pen blanks, all kinds of other stuff. I do have the Nova G3 chuck, so that is housed in here. So pretty much if it has anything to do with the lathe, it's here. Now this brown bookshelf looking thing was a $3 find at a garage sale, and like I said, that's where all the lathe accessories, tools, whatever else that has to do with the lathe. The only exception is this caddy to the right of where all the lathe tools are. This black and gray bin is where I keep all my bushings for the different pens and seam rippers and you name it, all those kind of things. I also keep some small wood and acrylic cutoffs in there that are too small for pens but big enough that I didn't want to throw out. So that's where all of those kind of live. So this is a lot better organized than when I had initially started, but it still has a little bit of organization to go before I'm happy with it. Thanks for hanging out with me today on this shop tour. The shop tour was a lot of fun. I hope that I covered all of the main tools in my shop. If you have any questions about the tools in my shop, send me a message, leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to respond. I do respond to all of the comments on my videos. Yeah, this one was a ton of fun. I did start a Patreon page, Crosscut Creations. I'll leave a link in the description if you like what I'm doing over here on social media, on YouTube. That'll be an option. Also, I do have my website that I'd like to plug, thanks to Steve Nealon over at Harneal Media. He's been a great support as I've started this website. I can't thank him enough for helping me. The website is cross-cut-creations.com. That'll be on the screen and in the description. Head over there if you want to check out some other YouTube videos that I've created. You can check out the store that I have over there, so you can purchase hand-turned and handmade goods. You can buy merchandise such as t-shirts. There are men's and women's cuts. You can also purchase shop stickers, or if you want to swap, send me your information and we'll figure that out. Also, there's coffee mugs with my logo on it, so there is some merchandise available in that shop. Additionally, you can also find a small gallery that I'm working on of my work, and I've also recently picked up writing again. So I think what I'm going to try and do is, after I release a video, I'm going to kind of do a recap in a written article form. So if you want to check out the written articles, you can head over to the website, again, cross-cut-creations.com. You head over there, it'll be on the home page. There, at the exact moment, there's only 2 or 3 up there, but as I get more projects under my belt, I'm going to hopefully try to start writing follow-up articles. So if that's something you're interested in, check those out. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Again, I know I've said it 100 times, but this one was a lot of fun. If you like the video, make sure you give it the thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.